Welcome to the Bear Grease Render. Today, we've got Bear John Newcomb to my left, Josh Landbridge, Spielmaker, and John Lightning Strike Donovan sitting in the Tacovas hot seat. This is, did you notice the boots?
I did. I saw them in a couple old podcasts and saw them when I walked in.
Yes. Well, you were in the hot seat last year in your tree stand when you got struck by lightning, and we're gonna we've heard about this, we're gonna hear more about it, but because of this you are gonna get some Tacovas boots. Did you know that?
I got spoiled by another podcast I saw on there.
I mean, we give them away every
I don't know
episode.
if it was everyone, but yeah, that's awesome.
What if we had called you in and been like, man, we were gonna give you some Tacovas, but we decided not to.
Fine.
We didn't want them burn up.
Yeah, no.
I'd
still be grateful. But
so we'll get you some Tacovas.
Awesome. And once you get your boots, you need to swing by here and we'll brand them.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
And I would suggest going to like Swepco or one of the electrical co-ops and getting some of their like this big 1 inch thick rubber.
Okay.
And having them sewn onto the bottom of the Tacovas.
Does have rubber soled
lightning proof
cowboy boots.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. They have some
proof.
work boots.
Yeah.
And maybe it would protect you from lightning.
Yeah, no, I'll take anything I possibly can.
Didn't get into with our buddy the outlaw meteorologist Josh is if rubbered soled boots would help you in a lightning strike.
I feel like the lightning would just be too powerful.
It just wouldn't even matter.
I feel like it wouldn't.
Some company might find a way to market it and sell it, but
I mean,
it can't hurt.
I mean, think about 6 inch thick soles.
Yeah. And what if that was your ad campaign? Like protect yourself from the lightning. We think it couldn't hurt.
Yeah, we're pretty sure it won't hurt. Well, we're gonna get into lightning with John. You may notice if you're watching this online that there's no saddle here. There's
it
usually
feels empty.
Colt George out of Wyoming, G3 Saddlery, made me a custom saddle, a beautiful.
It really is
saddle.
Beautiful.
And I keep it in here because it's so pretty. I use it all the time though. I've got a story.
Oh boy.
So I sold Izzy, my mule, my good mule. Sold her.
Mm-hmm.
She's been gone for 2 months. I thought I would miss her. I thought I'm going to sell this mule and I'm going to regret it. I'm going to wake up because I had this idea, Josh, that, mules are so long lived. I thought, how cool would it be if I was still riding this mule in my 60s?
Right.
And I had this little dream spasm about that. And then about 3 months ago, I woke up and was like, that's dumb. I don't need to be, have this false loyalty to this animal, even though she was the first mule that ever trained.
Right.
This story's going somewhere, and it has to do with this saddle and why it's gone. And there's a story. So I sold Izzy. She was at her peak value, peak age, and I just was like, you know what? I'm not going to be attached to this animal. Sold her. Been looking for another one. Got Lori,
right.
Good Lord Lori, from Evan Felker. Good Lord Lori is at a trainer, Waylon Valines, being trained for 60 days out in Newton County. I decided to ride slow trap.
Are you concerned at all about that brown recluse running across that painting right there? Right on the bottom corner of that. Stick your head down. He's right on the bottom corner there.
Wow. Let's just keep him.
Should I give him a headset?
Yeah. I don't think it's a brown recluse.
Okay.
So I ride slow trap the other day, which is Bear's mule. How old is he? 4, 3, 3 and a half?
Yeah.
And it's been a little while since we've ridden him, and he's young. And put the saddle on him, and he's small enough we didn't really have the tack to fit around him real good. And I was using my old saddle, and I go riding him, and he just, from the beginning, is just cantankerous, just not wanting to. I mean, it was just like he hadn't been ridden in a year.
Right.
But I didn't really consider it dangerous just because he's small and he's just gentle as a dog.
Right. Yeah.
But before I got out of the yard, he crow hopped on me and tried to bolt for about 20 yards. Just, I mean, it wasn't even if you'd have been watching, it wouldn't even blipped as anything was wrong. But in the saddle, it was kind of like, whoa, what are you doing? Anyway, I keep riding him, and I go up a pretty steep mountain and come back down it. And on the way down, Slow Trap just explodes into, again, if you'd have been watching it, you might have just been like, Clay, you just fell off the mule. Like he didn't really buck. I believe the mule really bucked hard. And what happened is he broke the crooper off the back of the saddle. So we were coming down, and a crooper is a piece of leather that goes around the tail and keeps the saddle from sliding forward. And I'm going downhill, the crooper breaks, and the saddle just slides right up to his ears almost. I mean, just slides way up on his neck, and it scares him. And he starts bucking, and I go over the top of him, me and the saddle. And when I hit the ground on my shoulder, I've got road rash and a big bruise right here. I am laying like this, and the saddle is on my leg, and Slow Trap's right there. And
How did the saddle come off?
The girt strap stayed strapped, and it came all the way over him, over his legs, over his head. I thought the girt strap broke.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how did the saddle get off? And I flipped it over, and the girt strap was perfectly still tied. So the saddle...
Just because he's constricted and
he
slid off.
He had his head down, and he was bucking, and that saddle came
Holy
right
smokes.
over the top of him.
And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is why I wear a britchin. Use a britchin.
Yeah. Well, it was actually your crooper that was on there.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Just, I mean, if you're gonna get all virtuous about your britchin, okay. And it wasn't your crooper that broke. It was the ring that the crooper hooks to.
Oh.
Broke off that saddle. So the next so I was pretty discouraged, and I probably discouraged Bear a little bit because I'm like, Slow Trap's, he's in bad shape. I rode him the next day with Colt George's saddle. Okay, that's why it's not here. And I got a good britchin, tightened it up, got everything fit really good, and rode him.
Is it my britchin too?
Yes, and it was. He was gentle as a dog. And I worked with him in the round pen, and he was just flexing and turning and backing up and just calm.
The tack was the difference?
He's just young, and we laid him off for maybe a month or two.
He's needed a little warm up.
Yeah. And anyway, that's my story. That's why that's not there. So
goodness gracious.
I hope that was worth the first 8 minutes of the podcast. Bear, what do you what's coming up on the Bear Grease YouTube channel?
Well, this week I did 3 hunts with my self bow. The premise was trying to catch breakfast, lunch, and dinner using only a self bow. So I went squirrel hunting in the morning, bow fishing midday, and frog shooting in the night. And yeah, it was actually I'll spoil it a little bit. The bow fishing, my neighbor Seymour and I shot a really nice gar. We took my canoe down a river, shot a nice gar, cooked it up, but it was a pretty cool video. I think that it's got a lot of action, a lot of squirrel misses.
That'll be out by now.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, that's out.
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of squirrel misses, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Christy and I have been watching a lot of Alone lately.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of squirrel misses on there, too.
Oh, really?
Tough to hit.
Yep.
Is that the new Australia one?
We haven't watched that one yet.
Okay.
We're catching up on some old seasons.
I got my wife into it. She's watching that when I'm at work most days.
Alone.
Yeah, she's getting a little baby watching it, getting ready for the outdoors.
Nice. Okay, so that's what we got coming up.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Arkansas bear season is right around the corner.
Bear season's all over the country. Or
I'm
right
excited.
around the corner. Bear season's already going in some places. So, have you seen this?
I haven't. Obviously, I've seen the acorn grunter,
Yeah, so
but not that pretty wood.
Phelps this is not officially what they're doing, but it's actually what they've done is put the acorn grunter in new wood every year. So the first year it was in white oak, and this is our inhale, exhale, doe bleat, buck grunt call. And the first year it was in white oak, and I actually like the white oak the best, other than the wood was unstable, and it could get loose unless you had a little O-ring that they sent you. The second year was Osage orange, and that probably would be hard to beat. This year, this is a Paduke. This is a Brazilian wood.
It's pretty.
I thought it was an African wood.
Jason said he told me it was Brazilian, but acorn grunter Paduke will be on. But I really do like that deer call. It's got a doe bleat and the buck grunt in the same call.
Does that I do a lot of wood turning with Paduke, and it has one of the strongest smells of any wood that I've turned. Like, it's stronger than sassafras, I'd say.
Really?
It smells really good. Does that smell?
No, it just smells like varnish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's available on. Where does someone get one of those?
This Phelps website.
Meat Eater. You can get that at the Meat Eater store.
Yeah.
Yep.
John, have you? You're a deer hunter, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's what I pretty much grew up on. My dad got me into hunting as soon as I could legally hunt. When I lived in Maryland, I was born in New Jersey, grew up there for about 5 years, moved to Maryland, Eastern Shore of Maryland, and there I think it's only if you could sign your name. So, my dad's hand was on top of mine, and I was in the stand as soon as I could. And mainly whitetail. Grew up hunting. I think I shot my first deer when I was 6.5 with a gun, a doe, and then just fell in love with archery. My dad mainly hunts with a bow, and did that from 6 until today. It's been a big part of my life.
Did you say your dad fell out of a tree stand?
Yeah, so that's the key word, fell. I claim I got shot out of a tree, so I don't. So it's not doesn't run in the family. But so it's probably early 2000s. Don't even remember it. I was a baby, but he was hunting, and it was one of those days where he was a safety freak as well, but a storm came in the night before, and there was a limb right in his prime shooting lane, and it was just out of reach. And he made a mistake that he regrets, but he unclipped thinking he just could get it. And the beam that he always used to support on also snapped, which he didn't see. And it just went, and he went about 30, 31 feet out, and he just fell. And it was, it's a 2, 3, 4 hour story, but the short version is, he definitely should not have made it as well. He had the good Lord looking over him, and he had to drag, a quarter mile out of the woods. And
so it broke him up.
Oh, his foot was backwards. His hand was hanging on by nothing, basically. He bit his tongue, and he was messed up, popped both his hips.
What year was this?
I'd be lying to you the exact year, but it was right around probably 2000, 2001. Okay. Because I was born in 97.
20 plus years ago.
Yeah. And,
a little kid.
Yeah. My sister remembers it. I remember him being in a wheelchair after it, but I was maybe 3 to 4 years old, so I don't really remember it, but my older sister remembers it more, and my mom obviously remembers it, but yeah, he was really messed up, and he was on private land and let out like a death cry, and the owner of the property's daughter, who never takes the bus, ended up taking the bus that day and got nervous, and then she called her dad, and he knew, okay, that must have been Matthew, and then she heard this death cry roar. It was my dad.
She was waiting for the
when
bus.
she got off the bus, so it was that perfect timing from bus into house. Yeah,
a kid hears someone scream,
and then we're in a small little town where our fire station has 2 volunteer EMTs at the time, and one of the old ladies called out sick that day, so one of the firefighters subbed in, and then they ended up going there, got him in the ambulance, brought him to the hospital, and he always remembers. He had to bite down on a belt because they didn't want to risk losing any blood flow to his leg, and he said he just watched the doctor snap it back into place. But yeah, he was really messed up. Probably 6, 7, 8 months of rehab, and
Did it impact him beyond that? Like after he got
so
is he still
he
kinda
played
banged up
major
from it?
football. He was a linebacker for UConn, so he
Really?
he already had a beat up body, and but it definitely has caused long term effects. He's had
Yeah.
I want to say 2 hip replacements. Maybe he had one twice. He has 8 pins in his ankle, so he definitely got messed up from it. But he's a tough guy. I mean, he's got 9 lives, and he definitely got lucky there. But yeah, it definitely messed him up for years and years. But it didn't keep him from hunting. His buddies, I think it was that next season or even later that season, would made a ground blind for him and actually wheeled him out in the wheelchair and let him sit because he's obsessed. Which I'm glad because it got me into it. But yeah.
Wow. You know, I've heard that like a high percentage of falls over 18 feet, you die.
Yeah, no, he got very, very lucky, and because he used to always go really high because he grew up hunting in upstate New York, and a lot of it was small little suburban permission pieces, and he used to just love taking a climber, getting real high. But now he doesn't get too. I think he just had shoulder surgery, so he's not climbing a tree this year. But up until I think he's 67. Was getting up in a tree, but now he stays right around that.
He's a climber. Is he a climber now?
No,
or
now we
saddle?
mostly use. He never got into saddle hunting. Probably when I was a teenager, he stopped doing actual climbers, and now he just basically does lock-ons. And with the back in the day, or he used to do the screw and pegs, but now he does all the climbing sticks pretty much now. And then with some of the permission pieces we have back home, we just use ladder stands typically.
Okay.
But he loves ground blind hunting as well. Kind of depends on the piece of property and what the terrain is.
Man, I think probably one of the most dangerous things that we do as hunters is climbing trees.
Yeah, and I, because of his experience, I felt like I had a step above the average hunter because I didn't see it firsthand. I was a baby, but I mean, my dad harped on it nonstop, and we were
Safety belts.
Yeah,
safety belts.
Yeah, my mom basically put bubble wrap on us our first few times going up there, and I always knew those. I forget the name of it. I think they're called like the safety line, where it tethers to the bottom of the ground,
Yeah.
and you clip in, and you're basically covered the whole way.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, even I do it as well. I think I'm young and Superman. I'm like, oh, I can get up the ladder without falling.
Yes.
But that's usually when it happens, which is what happened with me. But yeah, so we always double safetied in pretty much, which I'm glad, and I'll continue to do that. But I've never had a close call slipping or anything, but I could definitely see, hustling up a tree, hustling down a tree. And then a lot of those straps, I sometimes cheap out and buy like a cheap ratchet strap, which now I buy the top of the line stuff because I don't want to risk one of them popping off another time I'm climbing up.
Well, I mean, and that's the wild thing about what happened to you is you had a tree stand accident, but also got struck by lightning.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's and I'm kind of fixated on just falling out of a tree stand. I've never really fallen out of one. The most dramatic thing that happened to me, and it ended up not being dramatic, but I was climbing up a stick ladder that I'd kept for a couple of years on the same tree. Just went in the first time that year, shined my light in the dark up this, just aluminum stick ladder from Walmart, like 16 feet, and it had all the straps on it, and I was like, well, it'll be fine. And I just start climbing, and I get probably 10 feet, maybe 12. My feet were probably close to 10 feet up. And I grab one of the handles, and the stick ladder just starts coming backwards.
Wow.
And basically, one of the top ones came undone, and I just hung onto the ladder, and it held on a ratchet strap below my feet. So the ladder just bent, and I fell that probably 10 feet from the bottom of my feet. But from where I was, it felt like really high. And I just rode it down to the ground and landed on my feet.
Like Batman.
And in the bar, the stick bending slowed the fall just a little bit, even though it felt like a free fall. But when I hit it, it scared me real bad. And I got a picture somewhere on my phone of that ladder in the dark, bent in half. But it's I read something heard something this week about how the older you get, the more cautious you become, and that may seem like just like a rational thing, just like, well, of course, but there's some psychology behind it. Basically, your perception of life begins to change the older you get, and you're more risk averse. And it was actually in relation to flying.
Okay.
They said sometimes people in middle age all of a sudden become fearful of flying when never before were you afraid of it. And it's because the older you get, you've seen more things, and you naturally become risk averse. And it's the protection mechanism because you're not as bouncy as you once were, not as resilient.
No, it's true.
And I feel that because when I send Bear out on a tree stand, I'm like, man, be careful. This is the most dangerous thing, and I would have just scrambled up it.
Yeah.
No big deal.
When I first started hunting solo, I got obsessed over this one buck on a new permission piece back home in Jersey. And I was working at a lumber company, and I saw an old stand that someone probably had 10 years before that, and I just grabbed some 2x4s and screws. I was just so focused on killing that deer, I didn't even think about safety. But then my dad saw it before I went up there. He goes, no, we're not doing that. And we made it a little bit more safe. But yeah, I could see with age, definitely, now with the baby and being married, I definitely don't take too many chances for wildlife anymore. But
I think you just understand the fragility of life, too, the older you get. I mean, you see that it's just the difference between being alive and being unalive is very small.
It's a thin, lucid line.
Yes.
that's the one interesting thing with my story where I tried to Monday morning quarterback it, weeks later, and I was thinking, what could I have done? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? And I really followed all the steps. I'd check weather. If a hunter didn't go hunting every time there was a 5, 10, 15% chance of a pop-up storm,
Right.
we would maybe hunt 2 or 3 days a year. So at first I was kind of mad at myself, like, could I have prevented it? But then I realized I did do all the steps. I told the people my location. I practiced getting in and out of a tree. I used my equipment. So that also made me think that there can just be freak things, like a 1 in 600,000 or 1 in a million chance of getting hit.
So you had unclipped just to get and climb down.
So it's I basically just have a rope around the top of the base of the tree where I sit in a ladder stand, and it dangles maybe 4 feet, and then I'll do roughly 10 feet up. I clip in, and then I'm tethered in, and then I sit down, and then I'm hunting. But the way the stand is angled, it's just an old stand. I really didn't have the ability to put one of those full tether systems. And again, it's 10 feet.
Right.
Looking back, maybe I wish I had it, but I'm tethered pretty much the whole time I'm actively hunting. I'm in a safety rope with my full harness thing, but it's just that first 10 or so feet getting up, then I clip in and then sit, and it's that last 10 feet getting down.
Yeah, that's like totally reasonable.
Yeah,
I think anybody would have done that. Especially with a ladder stand. I mean, I know a lot of pretty safe hunters that wouldn't even put a belt on a ladder stand.
I'd be lying if I said I've never done it. I forgot my harness once, and it wasn't. I shouldn't have done it.
Rails around you.
Yeah, but I was like, I can handle it. I, pulled my bow rope up. I felt like I had 2 or 3
points of contact.
Point of contact, going up and down. So I felt safe, but now I definitely will try to be tethered in as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because especially when I climb, like when I use my climber on public, I always get paranoid of that bottom falling out. So I sometimes put 2 extra ropes on that because I know I would be dangling. I don't know how long I could hold on to that for out there.
Didn't you lose the bottom of your tree stand
I was
once?
gonna say that probably was as sketchy as anything. Yeah, one time I was using a Loggy Bayou. If you're my age or older, you will remember Loggy Bayou was like the premium climbing tree stand.
Okay.
They had a metal band with a rubber strap with a rubber overlay. That was the back. And one time I climbed up really high in a straight pine tree and got all the way up. 20 plus feet. And the bottom fell out and just ratcheted down the tree all the way to the ground. And I was sitting there with no platform for just a few minutes, just like, man, what the heck am I going to do? This was before cell phones and stuff. And basically I turned around in the tree and I would wrap my legs around the tree and then just like crunch my ab muscles and just kind of like lean forward. And it would drop about 4 or 5 inches. You'd kind of take the pressure off, and I made it all the way down, and got it, and climbed back up, and hunted, And one time it fell. Well, that's the same story. It fell because of ice. There was a half-inch of ice on the backside of the tree. Yeah. So, Bear, have you ever fallen out of a tree stand and not told me?
I've not fallen out, but I you remember that time I went up on a leaning red oak, which has real slick, hard bark on an icy morning, so it had ice on the side it was leaning on, and I got up there a little ways, and I lost my bottom, and it slid down, and I had to call you at like 6 o'clock in the morning to come bring some climbing sticks.
Oh, the ease of this generation to have a cell phone
That's
to
right.
call their dad.
Yeah.
One time, probably the sketchiest tree stand event that's happened to me, I was using some of Pawpaw's climbing sticks, and he just had them all.
Always a mistake.
He just had them all janky and
Modified.
holes drilled in them. And I remember I was like climbing a big pine tree, trying to get way up, and I was getting real frustrated because I think the ropes wouldn't clip in good. It was like those muddy sticks that you don't really tie a knot. You like run it through the little clamp, and I couldn't get it. And I get up to like 20 feet, and it's taking me like 45 minutes. And I was getting pretty mad. And I get to like a fork in the tree or a branch or something, and I had to unclip my saddle, and I was standing on a stick, and I was unclipped, and the stick just slid right out, and I grabbed
my
around
gosh.
the tree and just hung on and tried to and managed to bring my rope back around and clip in, and then slid down to the next stick. But yeah, it was pretty.
I always bring like a little hook just in case, even if I drop a grunt crawl or something. But the one time I almost
Oh, that's a good idea.
lost my bottom platform, I was thinking I could probably at least be able to get it with some sort of latch device or some hook.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, Pawpaw is Gary Believer Newcomb to Bear's Pawpaw. He always takes a lot of flack for his gear. On one of our Deer Stories episode, Dustin Craig, my friend Dustin Craig, had bought a platform from Dad and went and used it. And the first time he used it, he claims and tells it for truth that he set it up the way it was supposed to be set up, but Dad had rearranged how it attached to the tree, and it failed on him and fell. But he was tethered in a saddle. It was a saddle platform. And so he tells the story, and it's like, my dad had sold him this thing that was broken,
Have we
essentially.
given Gary an opportunity to rebut?
Well, I talked to Dad about it, and he's like, Clay, Dustin was using that wrong. He didn't. That platform is as good as new. He just didn't know how to set it up. And I said, well, I mean, do you want a chance to redeem yourself? I mean, you can come on the podcast and tell everybody that Dustin was wrong. And he was like, no, I don't want to be that way. It's okay. I don't want to be. So, Dustin, if you're listening, my dad thinks that it was operator error, which I'm not sure if it was or not. I'd say it could go.
We may need to do a follow-up.
60-40 that Dustin was right. Maybe 30% chance that it actually was completely practical. Or,
you guys are
completely-
predominantly losing saddles these days, right? You're climbing.
Yeah, I hadn't sat in a tree stand in a couple years.
My buddy Landon's trying to get me to make the switch, but I just like the climber for now, just easy on my back. But I'll probably will one of these days.
I like the climber a lot for.
It has its
Your
pros and
elbow,
cons. To
yeah.
saddle.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Like if you're packing way back, it's hard to beat
Yeah.
saddle.
I have one of those super lightweight ones that I kind of like, but I think I'll make the switch here eventually. Be my next little hobby to get into. Or
Where I'm gonna bait, I think I'm just gonna put lock-on stand up and just
Yeah.
use it.
if you have the time, I like doing it
Yeah.
that easy in, easy out.
Have any of y'all ever found the perfect tree? You had a climber, but there's some limbs sticking out,
Mm-hmm.
and so you climb up, and then you like latch on your top, and you stand on the limb, and you lift up your bottom,
Yep.
and you
Get
you
over
might
it.
jump like 3 or 4 limbs to get up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. If you have a saddle, you don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just pretty much exclusively use a saddle anymore. But speaking of lightning, What do you think about this idea, John, of if you've been struck by lightning, that there's a greater chance that you'll be struck again?
So my wife doesn't like that idea because she got on Google and stuff about that, and she read that.
Would this have been the first time she'd heard that was on the podcast?
No, she Googled it.
She'd
probably
heard that before?
Yeah, she looked it up a couple months after the accident. Because I used to make some silly jokes about stuff whenever there was a thunderstorm, or she would text me if I'm out or doing something. She's like, severe thunderstorm warnings, get home soon or stuff like that. She definitely was a little more nervous than me, but she read that. I haven't really done the research. I do know probably 3 months after I got hit, right next to my house got hit, because I remember my propane tank had some issue with it, and we smelled a weird smell in the house. And then the propane company said it most likely was, there was a lightning storm going on. He said there probably was a close proximity lightning strike to it that caused some issue. But
You think the lightning was looking for you?
I think so, yeah. No, well, when I was listening to the podcast, I think I made a bad joke. You said someone was hit 6 times. And I was like, let's see if we can beat that. But no, I haven't really done the research. I haven't looked in it too much. But what you were saying about how outdoorsmen, obviously, if you're in the outdoors more, you have a better chance. So probably something she'll worry about a little bit more than me. But for now, I'm kind of...
I think you're in the clear.
Yeah, I think I got my one. I don't really deserve it again.
I think it's the perfect, this idea that if you get struck by lightning, you're more likely to get struck again. I think it's got all the ingredients for a really great wives' tale.
Yeah.
Because when something happens to somebody, even like our beloved Spence, which he'd probably be listening to this. If something happens to you, you're all of a sudden hyper aware. And he wasn't saying that. He was joking.
Right.
So he doesn't, I don't think he actually believes that he has more of a chance.
Yeah.
He had heard that.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden he becomes aware and he's like, man, I was out the other day and I felt like it was after me. Or, you kind of just become hyper aware of it. So anytime lightning strikes close, you might be like, yeah, it was because I've been struck before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had buddies and family ask me, like, do you have like nightmares, or when there's a lightning storm, do you kind of shelter in place? And I haven't had any of those experiences, thankfully. And like I said before, it kind of was just one of those perfect storms, wrong place, right place at the right time, whatever. So I try not to think too deep into it, because you could probably just overanalyze everything with that. And then, anytime, like I said, there's a 20% chance of lightning, not leave your house or not go hunting. But I just keep in God's hands again and hope for the best. And maybe I took it for many generations, so all my kids and grandkids are safe from lightning.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to anybody else who's been struck by lightning?
No, but a kind of connection was my my dad's client and one of his close friends back home. It wasn't lightning, but he was on an electrical pole doing some sort of work and got hit with a bunch of volts. So when me and him were able to talk about it, it kind of was helpful, because one of the weird parts right after it happened was emotionally, I'm not afraid to cry, or I don't care if I cry about stuff, but I couldn't even get 2/3 of the way the story, or even halfway through the story, I would just start breaking down, and I couldn't figure it out. I didn't really talk to anybody about it, and then when I was back home for like a little family reunion, probably 2 or so months after, he brought it up to me, and that was super helpful, because it kind of made me feel like it was normal and it wasn't just like a me thing. So no, it would be
the same thing was happening to him.
Yeah, he couldn't tell anybody the story. He would,
really?
Close family, it would take a while, because you can cry a little bit more in front of family, but like just people, everyone wanted to hear my story, and everyone wanted to hear about his thing, and he just could not get a lot of it. He would just get choked up, and the same thing was happening to me. So it was nice hearing that, because it kind of made me feel normal. And then hearing a little bit of Spencer's story made me, some of the same things that he encountered or experienced, I experienced. But no, I haven't like been in a room one-on-one with anybody or really seek to try to find anybody. I doubt there's any like Reddit lightning.
Well, it's pretty interesting when you look at the statistics of 1 in 600,000 Americans will get struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of checks out. I mean, like the broader, Northwest Arkansas area where we live maybe has 500,000 people.
Yeah, I'll say.
And so it kind of seems reasonable. Like, yeah, maybe like 1-2 people in this region could be struck by lightning. Well, I know 2 of them.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have known you probably if you hadn't been struck by lightning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how we connected. So it's a little bit of a observation bias there.
Yeah.
But my neighbor got struck by lightning. So it's like, surely y'all aren't the only two people.
Yeah, there's got to be a handful up here.
So it feels like that 1 in 600,000 could be low. But I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. They called about the podcast Lake Pickle. And I said, do you know anybody that's been struck by lightning? He's like, no. He said, I know people that know people.
Yeah.
But like in arm's reach of him, he didn't feel like he knew anybody that had been struck by lightning. But I can't think of anybody before y'all that I would have known.
No, Remy Warren's been struck by lightning.
Oh, really? Remy Warren?
Yeah. But if you think about it, I mean, the people who are getting struck by lightning are the people who we would be around a lot,
Yeah.
just like outdoorsmen.
Well, I might be off by the dates exactly. I can't remember if it was right before. I know the Everglades one was after, but we talked a little bit about this. The two young men from North Carolina that were killed, I believe it was in Colorado.
Oh,
I want to say it was a few days leading up to mine. It was early September, elk season.
Yes.
And then right after mine, I saw a news article a family member sent. It was, I don't exactly remember if they were fishing or anaconda hunting or whatever, or python hunting, but a couple people in South Florida got hit and killed with a dog. So that all happened the same week, and that's when my mom was really nervous.
Yeah.
Because you hear, death, live, death. But I never even really thought, I was in Key West, Florida for 5 years, so there was always pop-up lightning storms there, but I never really even thought, again, back to the 1 in a million, because I'd be out in the water, and, the storm would get close, try to get a couple extra casks in, because, you think, what are your chances, but yeah, back to the...
According to Joshua Wiesel, your chances are pretty high
Yeah.
if you're on the water.
If you're on the water, okay.
The boat.
It's like
More-
you're the highest thing
yeah.
on the water.
But like what you were saying, if you're around the community of outdoorsmen, your chances of hearing somebody. Because when I run into people, either at the gym or at someone, and they ask about my back life, or some way it gets brought up, they're always wide-eyed shocked, like, oh, I've never met somebody. But in your case, what you were saying with being in the outdoors and a lot of hunters, is probably slightly better odds.
Okay. Speaking of being at the gym, at the gym the other day, I meet a guy, Mexican guy, and he asked me what I did, and I just kind of like, it's hard to describe, but I got a podcast. Oh, and he asked me about it, and I was trying to give him an example of the kind of stories we did, and I told him, I said, for instance, we're doing an episode on lightning, and I said, I know a couple guys that got struck by lightning, and his eyes widen, and he says to me, he says, my grandfather grew up in old Mexico, rural, like central Mexico. And he said that their Aztec, there was fragments of their Aztec religion that was still pretty prevalent in rural Mexico. And that they believed that if you were struck by lightning, that you all of a sudden had powers to make it rain for crops. And his grandfather, I almost interviewed him. I actually got his number in my phone because I was like, man, I may call you. And I think that kind of, he was like, no, hold on, bro. I mean, I'm not
I'm just telling you a story,
I'm
man.
not wanting to be that good of friends with you.
Well, if I could, I
we
would.
were in the hot tub, which might have made it a little more awkward. I mean, let's just be honest about it.
Yeah. Yikes.
But he told me an impassioned story about his grandfather who and I said, so your grandfather was struck by lightning? And he was like, oh yeah.
Wow.
And in his village, he was considered
The Rain Man.
yes.
The rain doctor.
And I was like, do you believe that to be true? And he was like, not really. he said we talked about it for a long time, and I actually had his number, almost interviewed him for this episode.
Wow.
But speaking of people that that have been struck by lightning, like the one person I told about this podcast before it came out was like, oh yeah, my grandpa got struck.
Wow.
You just
Yeah, I don't think growing up, or I've met a lot of people and I've never heard a story or anything, so I guess it's kind of random, but
I bet that I wonder if it's possible if lightning strikes could come in and out of awareness. Like, for instance, the history of lightning strikes in the 40s, like 400 people. Like today, 25 people will get killed in the United States by lightning every year. In the 30s and 40s, it was like 400 people a year. I mean, so like 1,000 times more of the people, more than 1,000.
That's crazy because now there's more people.
But are we out?
But there were more people on the land.
Right.
There were more people probably actually in the fields doing agriculture.
Yeah, I think we're out of the elements a little bit more. We're more in cities and shelter during most storms.
Yeah.
Because I did have a few family members reach out, and they're like, why would you even go out when there was weather like that? And then back to what I said earlier, like you would never really be able to hunt.
Never go.
Yeah. And you can't live in fear.
No.
Yeah.
Bear and I almost got killed this spring by lightning.
Yeah,
Oh, I
y'all
forgot
had a
about
close
that.
call with lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we got to stop talking.
It was 30 yards, 40
Yeah,
yards
I mean,
maybe.
it was like right in front of the truck.
Yeah. And we had just been there 2 minutes before.
Well, that's what got me worked up, because right before I got hit, there was one. Because I was contemplating whether I should get down and move, and then there was one right below me in a creek, and that's when I've never been that close before, except for maybe once on a boat, and that's when it really got me going. I was like, okay, this is
I gotta get
this
out
is
of here.
severe. Like I need to get down.
Yeah.
Even just this morning in my local news feed was a video of Fort Smith, which is just a few miles down here, these two police officers on the side of the road, and lightning strikes 15 feet from them.
Jeez.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It didn't hurt him?
No. Nope. I mean, they're standing by their cars and it hits the ground.
Okay, I've got a question that I wish we would have asked the weather guy. If you're on a boat in the water, or even if you're in the water and lightning strikes a boat on the water, if you're in the water, do you get zapped?
That's a good question. I think you'd feel it for sure, but it would probably absorb some of the voltage.
Like if the lightning bolt struck near your boat?
No, if you were in the water and
Like if you were swimming
it hit a boat.
Oh, and it hit a boat?
I mean, because wouldn't it hit the boat instead
Like
of
if you're
water?
swimming around your boat, you mean?
Theoretically.
If you're swimming around your boat
Yeah.
and it travels.
Or, I mean,
I think it would probably have to do with just the electrical current probably would go in all directions and just how far you were away. I mean, if you were 10 feet from a lightning bolt to hit the water and you were in the water, I would say that you're in trouble.
Why are you considering, like, if there's a thunderstorm jumping in the water?
no, I was just wondering if, like, it just dispersed like that. Because
We need to get a
the other day,
scientist.
it was. I've been in a handful of pretty good lightning storms where it's been striking all around me. But the other day we were bow fishing, and we just had a trolling motor. We were on the other side of the lake, and a storm came up real quick, and it was. We were like right in amongst it, just striking all around us, and I was like, "What are we gonna do?" Because I mean, the boat only goes like 2 miles an hour with that trolling motor. And so we quit shooting at fish. I told the guys that I was with, I was like, we just need to get back to the boat ramp.
Yeah,
this is
okay.
not a good situation. But I was wondering, like, if it would strike, if it hit the water like 200 yards away from us, would it hit us in the boat?
Probably not. Probably not that far.
But now it sounds like it just goes straight for the boat.
I think it's not a for certain that it's going to hit the boat, but it definitely has a higher likelihood of being hit if it's higher than the water.
But it is good kind of thinking what to do, because like you said, I think in one of your experiences you laid flat, and that's
Yeah.
actually not the proper thing to do, which I kind of think anytime I'm in a situation where get low and get, down, but I guess standing would be the best place
I think
away from high trees.
If you're out in the open and there's a lightning storm, I think the only thing you can do is put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye, because you're gone.
Well, but I think the most practical info on the podcast for like what do you do in a lightning storm is just move as quickly as possible to shelter. And maybe that shelters your car.
Yep.
And you definitely would be better in a vehicle than just standing out.
I was trying to get to this little rock, not really a cave, but like this little ledge that you could kind of, because I was also being a baby about the rain. I was like, I didn't want to get soaked and sit for another 6 hours, so I was going to try to get there. So that was my plan. I don't know if it.
Which seems like it would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have been I would have been out of the elements only by a few feet with basically just a little shelf over me. But I just thought that was like a smart thing to do. just hunker down and let
Yeah.
because I saw that the storm wasn't going to be this 2 or 3 hour storm. I knew it was just going to roll in, roll out.
Yeah.
Because you were saying you were hunting the same day.
Yes, we were. And our storm came through at a different time.
Okay.
It was later because it was like the last hour of dark daylight.
Yeah.
That it messed up our hunt because we got down early.
Yeah.
We got down early on that day.
Yeah, I remember that storm because there were acorns. The trees were full of acorns, and whenever the gust front came through, it sounded like it was
Was
hailing.
that at Bear Camp?
Yeah.
And it hailed like crazy over there for 20 minutes. Little
Right.
pea to dime size hail.
Lightning. Wild. I thought it was interesting the statistics about lightning, that more people get struck in Florida. Like that's for sure. More people die, more people get struck in Florida. But there's more lightning strikes per square mile per year in Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that about Oklahoma. I always knew Florida was like the lightning capital.
Well, but my interpretation of those statistics tells me that really Oklahoma is probably the lightning capital. More people just get killed in Florida because it's flat, a lot of agriculture, a lot of, I assume, just a lot of people out doing stuff and boats, and it is really flat.
I wonder how many of those people in Florida are on the water. I bet there's
get
more
struck.
people on the water.
There's a lot of ag in Florida, though.
Yeah.
I was thinking about big watermelon patches and different workers out in fields, and but it could be water related activities too. I bet it is.
I
But
thought it was interesting that 90% of the people who get struck live.
yeah,
I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, I didn't. I always thought it was you're a goner if you get hit.
Yeah. I mean that was interesting. That was interesting.
I think it was interesting when Spence was talking about when he got hit and when he kind of roused up that all his chickens were dead around him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's got to be a rude awakening. You know what I mean? To see that.
What year was that he got hit?
That was just this spring.
Oh, was
It's
it?
last spring.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I guess a
Well,
year ago. Year and a half
it would
ago.
a year ago, like
Yeah,
February.
The
Yeah.
spring before you got struck.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a crazy day. I went to see him in the hospital after he got into the emergency room, and I mean, to all outward appearances, he was more or less fine. His feet were burned, you know what I mean? But he was joking, and I think he went home a couple hours later. Zach and Jessica were there, and Christy and I stopped to see him, and
Same thing happened with me pretty
Yeah.
much. Once I felt safe and I got all my fluids back in and all the tests came back normal, I was, kind of my jolly self. Just my speech was like a little slow.
so that's been almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're 100% now?
Yeah, I definitely got humbled with trying to get back into like working out and training because I just felt like I didn't do anything for multiple months. I just felt really weak in the gym, and even just like normal walking was like a little bit more of a chore for me. But overall, like actual like heart issues, any brain issues, nothing major. Just some minor. I definitely bruised my ribs because I kind of landed like this. Messed up my wrists, but no breaks. My wrist was sore for probably 2 or 3 months. My ribs were bruised for about a month. My eye was.
Yeah, John showed me the picture of that welt on his head.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It was.
Oh yeah.
That's what. Yeah, because part of the story is when I finally got to the hospital, my wife still didn't know what happened. She was kind of putting the pieces together, but she saw the head, and that's when she tried to compose herself because she didn't want to freak.
That came from an impact. Of
I hit a
hitting the
rock.
ground.
I hit a
So that
rock.
wasn't like
No,
lightning related
I hit a
necessarily.
rock when I landed.
Yeah.
And that's what like really made her realize, okay, this isn't just like a small fall, like because it looked really bad. I mean, it was probably a baseball size coming out, and it was black and blue, and then all the swelling went into my eye the next day. So it was definitely a hard fall right onto like a little rock in the ground.
Were you in pain whenever you were crawling out of there, or was adrenaline
Adrenaline
covering it up?
definitely took over my body. Initially, it was the the breathing and like the shock and like the ringing and the white. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as pain, but I knew something happened. It wasn't a normal body feeling, because there was a split second where I just thought I fell, and I was like, finally catch my breath, like maybe I could get back in the tree and ride this out. But then that's when my hat was all messed up. I didn't know about the head yet, and I just nicked my head, and that was like the first time I felt real pain from it. And I started getting nervous, and I thought, okay, I got to get out of the woods. But then going up, getting back to my truck, is when my body just started feeling like I was like almost like losing control. And it wasn't like a pain, but it was just weakness, tingling. Like I lost a feeling in my left leg, my left hand. I couldn't even grip my bag or bow. And then my vision was just starting to blur out. And that's when it wasn't.
That was the electrical.
See, it was either that or I hit my head here. So it either had to do with the hitting of the rock, or because if I try to figure out where, I don't think my body got hit. I think it hit tree, absorbed, went to the tree, went through the stand, and then through my body. And that's what threw me. I mean, I'm not a tiny guy. It was, I mean, I landed from here to Bear a little bit further away. So if I just was to fall, I probably would have fallen back, but I got shot or propelled out.
Wow.
And the way I landed was like this, but my arms here were bruised. And my sister was at PA school at the time, and the way she figures it out is from my muscles being clenched, and that's the lightning went through my arms, and that's what caused the bruise, because I didn't land like this, so I don't know why this arm was bruised.
Oh, both arms were bruised.
Yeah, because I was tensed up the second it hit me. That's what she kind of thinks happened. That's why there was mild bruising on my arms, because I didn't land like this. If anything, it would have just been bruising on my side.
So you were holding on to the stand. Like,
yeah, I was getting.
So it probably would have come.
Yeah, right through the stand, through like my arms and chest. But pain, back to the pain, really nothing until I knew I definitely didn't feel good, but the adrenaline was definitely taking over. I kind of was just out of it, and I was just so focused on, getting back up and moving and getting to my truck and eventually getting the help that I really probably didn't even try to focus on the pain. The pain definitely the night I got home, and then for weeks later, it was just, it felt like I was back playing football again, just bruising and, couldn't even, if someone tried to hug me, I was like, no, because it was just, everything was sore, like my full body. But, and then the head, just kind of normal. The welt size went down right away, but it looked like, it was actually embarrassing going out in public, because if you see someone with a bruised eye, black eye, you kind of think they got
in a fight.
But I got in a fight with lightning, so I kind of won, didn't win, maybe a draw, but yeah, it wasn't, the pain was definitely days and weeks after, just like your normal body soreness. And then the wrists, I couldn't really do a lot with it, but no major, luckily, because if I fell and wasn't out, I probably would have, definitely at that height and my size, I felt like I would have shattered, an ankle like my dad did, or shattered my wrist or something. So I don't know.
Kind of just fell limp.
Just literally fell out. Yeah, just got propelled out.
Wow.
Because naturally you would try to brace your fall,
right?
Even though it's not the sport.
You didn't perceive just like a clap of thunder and a lightning bolt. It was kind of just like it's blacked out.
It was seconds. I just remembered, time when you're going through those things. It's hard to go back and remember exactly, but I shot a couple text messages to my buddy, hey, what do you think? And check the cell. And then when that lightning and loud thunder was 200-300 yards below me, that's when I was like, okay, instant, just kind of got into survival mode. I was like, okay, let me get down, grab my bow, or had my bow still in the stand. Actually left my bow because my bow got shot out. Had my bag.
So your bow wasn't in your hand?
No, my bow got shot because when I would climb.
So you weren't holding your bow and.
No. My bow was on one of those little. Cheap screw
shot off the tree.
Yeah, my bow. I'm trying to recreate. Trying to recreate the room, but where your two hides are, there is where the tree, and I landed here, and then there's a trail, and then the bow was basically where your computer is. So that's when because at first I thought I slipped, and that's where I'm trying to gather and piece together what happened.
You're like, if that bow was on the hook,
yeah, because I was contemplating. Which again, back to safety, which wouldn't have been safe. I was contemplating climbing because I didn't have time to get my bow rope out, carefully put my Matthews in, lower it down. So I was like, let me just leave it. But I did consider grabbing it and then kind of going down with one hand, but I didn't think that was safe. But no, I just had my bag was already at the base of my tree, and I just started going down. And then, when I woke up, the bow, and then my arrow was I kind of play around with arrows, but I was using a Beast broadhead, and that actually opened up. It was on the ground. But my bow was probably 10 or so feet from the tree.
Was the tree messed up at all?
No, and that's another unique thing. Maybe a little bit at the tippy top. It's a kind of a dense canopy right at the edge of this little opening. And then the stand was slightly shifted. I don't know if that was my body pulling it, or I think it was more so my body pulling it possibly from holding on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the lightning pushed it, but didn't look. I've seen a couple trees that have been hit where there's kind of like a damage to the bark, but there was no true damage. I've only been back to the area twice, so I'm gonna do a better look over it.
What was congruent with both of the stories we heard is Spence really didn't know what happened to him either.
Mm-mm.
He just like all of a sudden was just blacked out, and it kind of makes sense. And we talked about it on the episode about how lightning is traveling faster
So quick.
than sound.
Yeah.
So it's going to strike you before you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the flash you would see because the speed of light would be fast as so like perception of light seems like it could be something that you would see. But yeah, like he just is like out on the ground on like trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, because I was actually mad at myself for a second. I was like, how did I fall? Because again, 3 points of contact, and I was like, there's no way I fell. And I was almost like mad. I was like, how the heck did this happen? And then I just started putting two and two together.
Yeah.
Because again, back to falling, you typically would fall either straight back, like in a cartoon, or to the side. But I was definitely more than a body's length over, so it was definitely projected out.
Wow.
And the angle of it, it wasn't just a natural climbing ladder. It was I got shot this way in a sense.
Wow.
You think you were out for how long?
I would say north of a minute, max 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad, I was kind of trying to remember time, not for the podcast in a year, but kind of just for safety wise, how long was I out? And it was roughly 3:15, 3:30 when I realized I got hit, and then I got back to the truck right after 4, and then made it to the hospital right around 4:30. So it was, I definitely wasn't out for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, but it was enough. It was at least 2 minutes.
Okay.
How big was this bear you were after?
Pretty big. I would say it's north of 350, probably right around that 3.
Was he coming in pretty regular?
He was on a rope. I was just telling Bear before we started. I could basically tell you hey, I'm going to get a Moultrie notification within the next 5 minutes, and then I would show you my phone. It would pop up. But then, so the opener was 17th. I got hit the 18th, so it was probably the 15th.
Have you got a picture of it?
Yeah,
that you can show me.
Yeah, I left my phone over there, but
I'm actually thinking about starting a new business that I'd like to share with y'all. It has to do with this.
Okay.
The most asked question that I get on any social media platform is people sending me their bear pictures, asking me
how much they
how
weigh.
much it weighs.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna start a cameo business.
Okay.
Where you pay me $5.99 for a 30-second assessment of your animal.
Great. That's a great idea.
And I would just look at it and just make a little video and just be like, man, that's a good looking bear. It's hard to tell without a structure in. This is what I would say 90% of the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to tell with one photo the size of this bear, especially if there's no barrel or anything. But I would say that bear is between 200 and 230.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Ching.
Yeah.
Little
Venmo.
debit would go into my account
With a tip option.
with a tip option.
Yeah.
And I'd bump up a little bit from what I actually thought. Really, it was 180,
Yeah.
but I said 200,
Hype them up
230.
a little bit.
Yeah, hype them up a little bit. Y'all think that would work?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, the bear I grew up being around in New Jersey were typically bigger than the average Arkansas bear I've seen so far. You also can't hunt directly over bait. You got to be, I think, 300 feet from the bait pile in Jersey. So I didn't grow up doing any of the barrel hunting where you put the feed in. But that's a good way to kind of try to figure out the size of it. But he's big. Because I've seen a few other ones that are probably 150, little less than 200 pounds, but he's got that big belly that drags, and he's got a pretty good size head. Because I think up in Jersey, someone taught us like the smaller the ears, the bigger the bear. I don't know if you've ever heard that because it's a bigger head, but there's some real big ones up there. So when we used to see some bears, they were killing a 500-pound bear wasn't a crazy deal up in Jersey.
Yeah, there are big bears up there, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Moultrie, did you have any pictures of you falling out of the tree?
No, I thought about that after. Or my buddy asked me. Well, my one friend was like, "I wish you had like a GoPro strapped to you the whole thing."
Yeah,
because that would have been a cool clip. But no, the way the angle was, I never really have gotten into filming or anything. But I kind of just have the one angle right towards the bait barrels, and I was kind of parallel with it behind it, kind of. But no, that would have been nice.
Well, pretty interesting. Bear, what's one thing? Did you learn anything about lightning just from Josh, the outlaw meteorologist?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I did not. I would have thought if you had a metal, if you're carrying around a gun, you'd have a better chance of getting struck.
So that was the other reason why I left my bow. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh.
I just remembered that. I was like, let me not have something in my hand.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that this whole time, but that just clicked. Yeah.
I would have thought if you had some metal, it would have got you. But
I'm gonna go. Me and Josh, the outlaw meteorologist. Next time there's a lightning storm, I'm gonna say, "Hey, go stand out there with this metal rod."
Yeah.
If you're so confident in this, I still am not sold on that. I believe it's true.
I'm
but
torn on it because
I'm not walking across the field with it.
you always hear a thing about golf courses because you always have a club. So you always hear about. I think there's a Caddyshack. Maybe there's a funny clip where the guy gets hit. He has like the best round of his life and gets hit on the 18th hole or something. But I always connect things to like, okay, don't be near metal, don't have a metal pole, don't have a fishing. Like you think like fishing rod, bow and arrow, a golf club. But yeah, now I mean I didn't.
Well, it also makes sense for that to be a great wives' tale that people like. Where are golfers?
Yeah,
they're out in the open,
exactly,
out in the elements.
Yeah,
and so like a golfer getting struck, and he might have a club in his hand, but maybe it has nothing to do with the club. But to us, because metal is a conductor of electricity, and we know that it just makes sense. Well, he got struck because he had a golf club.
Yeah,
and I thought about my turkey story of being in a lightning storm with a gun, and my instinct was to get rid of the gun. I threw the gun. You know,
'cause I don't think my tree got hit because of the stand. Because I was also thinking like, oh well, there was 2 barrels 20 feet away. There was the stand, but I just think it's probably, if it's not the biggest tree, it's the second biggest tree in the area. So maybe that had to do with it. But at first I was thinking, I was like, oh, it's because of the stand was attached to the tree and that brought it there. But I don't have any actual evidence to that.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's what you learned, Bear.
And then that it's likely to hit the highest
object,
thing, which makes sense, and that it makes me not want to go get under a tree.
Yeah.
And
that's why the hot tip for lightning is just whatever it takes, just get into shelter.
Yeah.
Like I would have thought if you're a mile away from your cabin, well, let's say half a mile. You're half mile from your cabin. Lightning storm comes. I would go shelter under a tree in the woods.
I would have done the same thing. Yeah,
me too.
But I think the answer is forget that. Just
keep moving.
Keep moving, even if you're walking through the middle of the storm.
Yeah, because I can't remember. Did Spence say he definitely knows it hit the hen house, or he assumes?
I mean, it killed the chickens in the hen house.
Okay.
And
so I would
he
probably
was
connect
standing
those
right by this hoop house that is at least 10 feet tall or 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you learned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Josh, what did you learn? Did you learn anything from Josh?
I think it was the not sheltering under things like a tree or something. Because that's always what I would have done, and just I mean it's so random. I mean you can't really predict it, but
and that's why again like back to the question you asked me that wasn't in the podcast about like, are you doing any measures? You know, are you afraid? Are you going to go hunting again? You're going to hang it up? That's why I keep going back to that story because in my mind, I did everything right per se. I wasn't, so crazy after this bear that I drove into the storm knowing it might happen. And I really, like, precaution-wise, maybe what I'll do now is I might get an extra set or like a Garmin. It's another way to have communication.
Yeah.
And maybe send out a couple more pins to people, but I'm not going to like completely let it change the way I hunt or, think about going outside whenever there's a storm.
These guys that are getting struck out west, that's tough. Like if you're on a backcountry hunt,
Yeah.
and you're on top of some mountain and a pop-up storm comes up.
Well, those guys from Colorado, that's basically what happened. When they first found their bodies, they didn't even connect the dots to lightning. They thought it was hypothermia.
Yeah.
And then later, I think one of the doctors just saw a slight little sign that it was lightning, and then they connected all the dots and realized it.
Well, tell me what you said, Josh, about climbing the peaks out in Colorado.
Yeah, when we went to go do Pikes Peak once, and they tell you if you're doing a mountain, like there's lots of 14,000 foot mountains that you can climb in Colorado. They tell you that almost every day there's a pop-up thunderstorm after noon.
Wow.
And so they tell you if you're going to summit, once you get above 12,000 feet, there's no trees because of the air's thin. So that last 2,000 feet you're going to be climbing, you're going to be out in the open. And so they tell you if you're going to summit, you need to summit in enough time to get back down below the tree line by noon.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, one time, David, your son, and I, we were in Colorado, and we were going to climb a big, I think it was like 13,500 foot mountain. And some guy, some like hippie in a van was like, yeah, man, be careful going up there. Every day around 2 p.m., there's pop-up storms.
Yeah.
And we were just like, yo, cool. And we went and did it anyway and got to the tree line about 2 p.m. and a big pop-up storm came. And we didn't go, we stopped there and we actually just hunkered under a tree because we were like,
boy, was that a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the pop-up storms are probably more dangerous because if I saw on my radar that morning 100% chance in lightning, I wouldn't have went. I would have waited for the next day. So I think the pop-up concept of storms can make it more dangerous because you're not really thinking about it possibly happening.
And the life lesson from that is always listen to the hippies.
Yes. Speaking of hippies, I just noticed, Josh, you have a beautiful bracelet.
My wife had that made for me for my 26th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? It's copper and turquoise?
Copper, turquoise, and there's some Alaskan.
Does it have any of these,
It's got
electromagnetic
organite
benefits
It's got
or anything?
organite in it, so it keeps my chi in line. No, I'm just kidding.
man, speaking of hippies, I was in California the other day surfing.
What?
And-
Wait.
Oh, wow, that is a great story.
And
hippie.
some guy
Oh,
comes
there's
up to
more?
me and he has and he was telling me about the power of his bracelets. And like he's like a surfer and he like made us all do like a test where like you sit on one foot and he like pushes down
Well, I've seen
and you
something
tip
like
over
this.
and then he like sprays this water on your hands and like, and then you don't tip over. It was kind of weird.
Did you pray after this?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yes.
I mean, I've got power over anything like that. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. Your bracelets give you that power? You have bracelets too, buddy.
No, I thought it was funny though because we were like,
It's just turquoise. This is just makes me look super cool.
It's working.
It does, Josh. It does. It looks good.
yeah,
So-
we didn't know what the deal was, and he was like, we're like, what's the deal? And he was like, well, it's these bracelets right here.
What were they made out of?
It was like silver or something.
Oh.
I can't remember. Or maybe he said like silver shorts out your body. I can't remember. Man, it was.
I'm low on jewelry except a wedding ring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any other jewelry.
I was with Clay the day that he lost his original wedding ring, trying to pull an armadillo out of a hole.
True. Yeah, my original wedding ring is out in the Ozark National Forest to this day. One day archaeologists will dig it up and they'll be like, who was this?
And then they'll get leprosy from it, from the armadillo.
Maybe. Well, this has been exciting. Very electric. This has been an electric conversation.
Definitely.
Anything else, John? Anything else? Appreciate you sharing your story, man.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for another bear season. Hopefully get some redemption.
Are you going to bear hunt this year?
Yeah. I'm gonna we
when
were
are you
talking
going to start baiting? It's
next
better
week,
Get going
Tuesday. Yeah,
Tuesday. Okay.
yeah, because I'm a little funny thing that happened in the hospital. My phone finally started working. The service came back and everything was working. And I just kept telling Chelsea, my wife, I was like, "Can I have my phone? Can I have my phone?" And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, don't do anything. Like, I'll call your parents." I was like, "No, I want to check my trail camera. If that thing came in, I'm gonna be very, very angry." It didn't.
He didn't come in.
No, he never came back. Daylighted the rest of the season, so I technically
wow.
didn't.
Was he there the day before season?
The 15th was the last,
And season started on the 17th.
Yeah,
And this
so
was the
18th.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened to our Bears.
It was a big tease, and because I mean, I wasn't getting too arrogant with it, but I was like, okay, this might be the year, but maybe it's this year. Maybe if I put less effort into it and think about it less and obsess.
This is the year.
Yeah.
This is the year.
If not,
Got a good season opener.
no lightning, it's a good year, I guess. Just getting back out in the woods and having fun out there.
You gonna be in the same spot?
Pretty much, yeah.
Same tree?
Yeah, I think I'll
Lightning never strikes the same tree twice.
Yeah, so I'll stick with the same tree.
You could ride out
Unless
a
it's the
thunderstorm.
tallest tree in the
Yeah, I might chop the half top
Yeah,
of
there
the
you
top.
go.
Man, I would be willing to bet my life that you could ride out a thunderstorm in that same tree.
Yeah. No, I think I will. I think
You'd will.
He'd be willing to bet his life.
Well, I said my life, but I want to rephrase that. I'd be willing to bet your life that you could do
I
it.
probably won't even get down next time. Yeah.
Oh, you should get down, John. You should get down. You should get down. Well, all right. Well, this was a fun little
Yeah, thank you for having me.
deal here. I learned a lot about lightning. Man, who knows what's going to happen next on Bear Grease? But I continue to build out all my stuff for the book. Book is rapidly progressing. We're working on the
I'm looking forward to that.
cover. We're working on blurbs, getting people to. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens after you're finished. That's interesting. So it's coming up. I'm going to talk about it. Jans Futelis tells me to talk about the book every episode. So American Bear coming out February 9th, 2027.
February 9th. That's the release date.
Yep.
Sweet.
I'm going to get 2 copies. I'm going to get one for my son.
There you go.
Hunter Matthew, born on Father's Day.
Really?
Yeah, just recently.
This year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hunter Matthews.
Yep.
Oh, that's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
These are a little blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even talk about you hearing the baby crying.
Yeah, that was a cool, kind of an interesting part of it because I sometimes get emotional with it. But yeah, it was like 5 days later. I just remembered, it was like, what was that? What woke me up? And I mean, you got kids, that distinct like newborn cry. It's not like what you see in the movies or when you have like a 6-month-old cry.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were kind of, I don't want to say battling infertility, but it took us around 10 months, and it was a little frustrating and a kind of stressful time in our life. And then, so September 18th, it was like early October. I remembered about the crime, but didn't really think about it. I had a brother that passed as a newborn, and my mom's always said, like, he's with you, and he's always, watching over you. So I kind of thought maybe it was my brother. But then she called me frantic. She's like, we're pregnant. And we did like 3 or 4 tests that day. And then I remember.
This is like a couple of weeks after.
Yeah, so it was right around, the first week of October we found out. So there's a chance she was pregnant, at that actual, September 18th, or it was pretty close after that. Because I made a crude joke, but I had to cancel a mule deer hunt for October 1st. And I was like, if I can't go on this hunt with my buddies, we're going to try to get this baby thing going. But yeah, so then, fast forward, like I have family and friends make a joke that, the lightning kind of got me fertile again, and maybe I can write a book about, wise tales of lightning strikes.
Well, if it doesn't make you able to call down rain, maybe it fixes infertility.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it.
Then, Father's Day, she goes into labor, and that the nurses kept asking me, like, oh, you queasy around blood and everything? I'm like, no, like, I've, been around it. And then, but that moment he came out and I heard that cry, it just sent like chills down my body because it was like the exact distinct newborn cry. Because I've never heard a newborn cry. It's my first kid. I'm, don't have any nieces or nephews. So it was a cool part. Don't really know all about it. I mean, I believe in a higher power, but it was definitely, maybe he was looking after me. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That is. All right. Thanks, everybody. Keep the wild places wild, because that's where the bears live.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.